I'm trying something new with this caption contest, namely using an image that somebody gave me. It's quite a funny meme, rather than just using an image as I've done in the past of myself doing something or with one of my pets. And it turned out pretty good. I got a number of responses. I'm putting the top 10 here for you so you can enjoy them, maybe have your thought provoked by them, or at least laugh at them. So, with no further ado, all of you know who these figures are, I'm assuming, right? Ernie and Bert from Sesame Street. If you don't know them, then you probably want to look them up. But in any case, what we see is Ernie and Bert with Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit. So, again, with no further ado, I'm going to jump right in to the captions. So this first one uses Muppet as a derogatory term of abuse, and it actually references Rene Descartes. I think most of you know cogito ergo sum is found in a couple places in his works, and it's associated with him. And so one of them, maybe Ernie, is saying, "Wrong book, you Muppet," meaning that it's the wrong thing to bring up. I mean, what would be the catchphrase for Hegel? The real is rational and the rational is real, perhaps. So I guess everybody has catchphrases if we dig deep enough. Here's the second one, and this is a quite clever one, right? It says, pictured in the form of Muppets, Vernunft, tarrying with the Bert Griff, right? And so the references there are, of course, to Hegel. Vernunft is reason, and Begriff is concept or notion. And these are very important terms for Hegel and for German idealism generally. So he managed, or whoever it is, managed to get Ernie in there and Bert in there with the parentheses, and it actually kind of works. So again, very clever. Here's another one, and this is the first of two that have to do with, on Sesame Street, there's usually a letter of the day, a number of the day, and apparently also shapes of the day. It's been a long time since I've watched the show. So W is for Weltgeist, Bart, right? Bert, rather. And so, W could be for all sorts of things. And in this case, it's for world spirit, which is another key idea in Hegel's thought and works. So good one there. Here's another one brought to you by today's shape, the triadic schema. A lot of people associate Hegel, unfortunately, because it's a mistake, with this triadic schema, which they associate with Hegelian dialectic. And if you can't see, I'm putting that in air quotes as I'm saying it, because it's not actually Hegelian, and it's not the way he figures the dialectic, where you have thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and it's represented with a triangle. It's actually kind of a fractal in some ways, because it's unfolded into the next one. Of course, this is not what Hegel actually taught. It's coming from Fichte, but that's the popular way of talking about Hegel today. So that's a good joke right there. Now we get somewhere Ernie and Bert are talking to each other. Ernie says, "You can't just read the preface over and over, Bert. You have to read the whole thing." And, I suppose there may be some people out there who do that with works. Hegel's preface would somewhat resist that, but I'm willing to bet there's at least one person out there like that. Here's another one. Based on my eyeball estimate, Bert has just reached the lordship and bondage section of the Phenomenology of Spirit. It's probably the only section most people actually read of the Phenomenology. It's a very short section and not really that characteristic of the entire work, but it's the sexy section that everybody likes to reference. And so good joke there as well. And here's one in German. Albert und Ernst leiten das System des absoluten Apen erreichen eine bruderliche Einheit. So Bert and Ernie are bringing the system to an end, the system of the absolute, or working their way through it, and achieving a fraternal, I guess we could say, unity. Okay, not bad, Again, though, as the two previous people have pointed out, it doesn't look like they're anywhere near the end of the work. So Maybe not. Who knows? Here's another one. After having heard the preface, did the most beautiful expressions of pure thought flowing from the enlightened spirit of Ernie, Bert realized this wasn't such an appropriate bedtime story. So apparently Bert is reading this to Ernie in this scenario, and Ernie is somehow responding. I'm not sure if Bert does read Ernie bedtime stories. They're both adults, right? And they live together. But maybe Ernie, who's a little bit childlike in some ways, maybe he does get bedtime stories read to him. I don't know. Here's another really good one. Ernie, Bert, you can't just say absolute knowing and expect anything to happen. Bert, I didn't say it, I declared it. And this is actually a really funny one because, if you think about Hegel, I really like Hegel, but the notion that like history's all wrapped up and we've reached absolute knowing, it is kind of a, with the distance of 200 years, a little bit of a silly assertion, right? And Hegel is sometimes much less logical and painstaking as he tries to portray himself as being and does declare an awful lot. So that's a good one. Finally, here's the one I like the best. Save the best for last. And once you've finished the Phenomenology, you'll understand Hegel well enough to read the Phenomenology. And that is quite true. And so somebody else commented, this is actually true in my experience. Mine too. So many people want to get Hegel right the first time around. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to make your way through it and plow through and not understand what you're doing. And then you can go back the second time and you've got a way better idea of what you're doing. And this makes perfect sense because it's the way it is with most philosophical works, actually. And it works that way with exploring a city, and it works that way with learning a musical composition, and life is like that. So this is actually a great observation to wrap up with. So thanks to everybody who contributed. I'll do more of these in the future since people seem to like them, and hope you enjoy it.